The unique representation theorem: let B be a set of vectors and be a basis for a vector space V. Then for each x and v, there exists a unique set of scalars c1 through cn such that x equals c1b1 plus c2b2 all the way to cnbn. Definition: suppose that B is that set of vectors from b1 to bn and it's a basis for a vector space V, and x is a vector in vector space V. The coordinates of x relative to the basis, or the b coordinates of x, you can call it either way, are the weights c1 through cn such that x is the same vector as above. This vector x in Rn is written as x in a bracket sub b, and I'm just going to say x sub b throughout the video, and it's equal to the column vector of all of those weights, c1, c2, all the way to cn. X sub b is called the coordinate vector of x relative to b, or also called the b coordinate vector of x. The mapping from x to xb is the coordinate mapping determined by b. Consider a basis B with two vectors b1 and b2 for R2, where the first vector is 1, 0, the second vector is 1, 2. Suppose an x in R2 has the coordinate vector x sub b equals negative 2 and 3. Let's find x. The b coordinate of x tells us how to build x from the vectors in b, and what that means is vector x, we take the first entry of x sub b times the vector b1, so negative 2b1, and then we take the second entry of x sub b times the second vector, so 3 times b2. Expanded, that's negative 2 times b1 plus 3 times b2. If you multiply and then add, you get the vector 1, 6. The entries in this vector 1, 6 are the coordinates of x relative to the standard basis E, which has vectors E1 and E2. Those are the two standard bases of 1, 0 and 0, 1 respectively. So x is 1 times E1 plus 6 times E2. So if E is the set of those two standard vectors, standard basis vectors, then x sub E is equal to x. Here's a comparison from standard graph paper to B graph paper. B1 is 1, 0, so you would go over 1, don't go up or down. B2 was 1, 2, and I'm going all the way back to the top for B1 and B2. We would go right 1 up 2, so there's B2. X we determined to be 1, 6, so you'd go over 1 up 6. Notice these are all on a line, a vertical line. Now, transforming that over to the B graph paper, we have 1, 0, 0, 1. Those are the two standard basis vectors, b1 and b2. And then x, what did we come up with? X sub b was negative 2, 3. So if we go left 2 up 3, that's where we find x sub b. When a basis b for Rn is fixed, the b coordinate vector of a specified x can be found. Example, let's look at b1, b2, x. B is the set of the first two vectors. Find the coordinate vector x sub b of x relative to b. Well, this x sub b is going to be your scalars, c1 and c2, so that x is satisfied as c1b1 plus c2b2, c1b1 plus c2b2, and we're going to put that equal to vector x. Combining B1 and B2 into a matrix, B1, B2, our weights are multiplied, C1, C2, and then we're going to set that equal to vector X. X sub B, remember, that's our weights. So what we're going to do is we're going to invert this matrix, bring it over. So that's what this notation is. It's matrix of B1 and B2, but I'm inverting it. You'll want to do this in your calculator, times vector X. So we invert, multiply times X. We get the resulting vector of 3, 2. So that's X sub B is equal to the vector 3, 2, 3, 2. Those are the weights for vectors B1 and B2, and that gives us X. So X is equal to 3B1 plus 2B2. Note, and up here I put them in bold brackets, P sub B changes the B coordinates of vector X into the standard coordinates for X. X is equal to P sub B times X sub B, where P sub B is called the change of coordinates matrix from B to the standard basis in Rn. Now the steps we took up here to get X sub B is we took the inverse of P sub B and multiplied it times X. That was what we did here to get our vector that's X sub B. Choosing a basis B for a vector space V introduces a coordinate system in V. The coordinate mapping from X to X sub B connects an unfamiliar space, which is a vector space V, to a familiar space Rn, and this one just specifically like a R3. But this is a coordinate mapping from V onto Rn. Theorem, let B be the set of vectors and a basis for a vector space V, then the coordinate mapping X to XB is a one-to-one linear transformation from V. So everything in V corresponds to a single X sub B in Rn. The coordinate mapping is an example of an isomorphism from V onto Rn, since a one-to-one linear transformation from one, which is a one-to-one transformation from one vector space onto another. Excuse me. Every vector space calculation in one space is accurately reproduced in the other space. And so that's why this X will map onto X sub B, but they're one-to-one, so everything's accounted for. Let B be the standard basis of the space P sub 3 of polynomials. We're going to let B be 1t, t squared, and t cubed. That subscript is the degree. So a typical element P in P3 has the form constant, linear, quadratic, and finally cubic. Since P is displayed as a linear combination of the standard basis vectors, these were up here, we've got a 1A1, think of it as A sub 0 times 1, A sub 1 times T. All these coefficients, you put them in a vertical vector column, and that's P sub B. Thus, the coordinate mapping from P to P sub B is an isomorphism from P3, because we had all the way up to a cubic, degree 3, onto R4. There are 4 entries in that vector. All vector space all vector space operations in P sub 3 correspond to operations in R4. Note, P of T, we built it up here above, P of T was equal to these 4 terms, and P sub B was equal to these 4 coefficients in a column vector. They look different, but they act as vectors in the same way. Use coordinate vectors to verify that polynomials 1 plus 2t squared plus 4, that's the first one, 1 plus 2t squared. The second, 4 plus t plus 5t squared, and the third, 3 plus 2t, are linearly dependent in P2. P sub 2 because the highest degree was a quadratic. All right, let's write these as coordinate vectors. So this first one, you have a constant, no linear, and 2 is the coefficient of the quadratic. So 1, 0, 2. 4 is the constant, 1 for the linear coefficient, 5 for the quadratic coefficient. So 4, 1, 5. And then finally 3, 2, no quadratic, so the third entry is a 0. Now if we write these as columns of matrix A, we have 1, 0, 2, 4, 1, 5, 3, 2, 0. Let's augment this and put in a column of zeros, because we can determine their independence by reducing this matrix equation, AX equals 0. That's a homogeneous equation. So let's take matrix A augmented with a column of zeros, row reduce. We have a consistent system, pivots in the first two columns, but not in the third. So you would think of this as what we've done in the past. X3 would be a free variable. There's no pivot in the third column. So the columns of A are linearly dependent, and the corresponding polynomials are also linearly dependent. In fact, that third polynomial, 3 plus 2t, can be written as 2 times the second polynomial given minus 5 times the first polynomial given. And since 1 can be written as a linear combination of the other two, they are linearly dependent. Let V1 equal 3, 6, 2, V2 equal negative 1, 0, 1, and vector X be 3, 12, 7. B is going to be the set of the first two vectors, V1 and V2. Then we can say B is a basis for H, which is the span of these two vectors. Determine if X is in that span. If it is, we're going to find X sub B, the coordinate vector of X relative to B. First thing, let's check to see if X is in H, the span of the two vectors. Okay, so if they are, C1 V1 plus C2 V2 is equal to X. This should be consistent. So let's form a matrix or create a matrix with V1, V2, and X. Row reduce it. We have a row of zeros, so that's consistent. A pivot, C1 is equal to 2 and C2 is equal to 3. Well, now if you figure out the weights, then you know X sub B because it's the column of those weights. And vector X can be written as 2 times vector 1 plus 3 times vector 2.